I wanted to introduce you first by myself, and I Googled you a lot, but I think it would be cooler when you could briefly introduce yourself with some sentences and your touch points with AI, of course.
Of course, I can do that. So I'm Thomas, nice to be here, really looking forward to the dialogue. I'm a passionate Web3, and I'm also a Googler. To that related very much to Gen AI. I had my first touch point actually at IBM like 25 years ago when I was playing around with voice recognition. And I see really great to see that coming more and more alive. So really looking forward to the conversation.
Hi, I'm Michael from Deutsche Bahn, Chief AI Officer of a big corporate. In my responsibility, I'm designing the governance structure of the whole corporate. I'm responsible for the AI platform services to scale AI into our core businesses.
Yeah, thank you so much, for you guys being here on stage and you for listening to us. My name is Christian. I'm the Managing Director of KI.NRW, which is the central competence platform for artificial intelligence in North Rhine-Westphalia. So we have our basic aim is to make the whole ecosystem visible, connect what needs to be connected, but especially driving the application of AI with small and medium enterprises. And whoever wants to have some support in this, yeah, please contact me. Yeah, we are there to help.
Also from my side, thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Andreas Horn. I work at IBM, leading the service portfolio for AIOps for the EMEA region there. And for the people who don't know what we do in AIOps, it's basically how can we apply AI for IT operations, which means we are most of the time work with Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies, like very large-scale companies. We look into their IT operations. Normally they have 1,000 applications plus, and we look how can we apply AI to make the applications more scalable, more efficient, and of course also more secure. And Web3, I'm invested. If anybody has some tips for some coins which will pump very soon, let me know. Thank you.
That's the right conference for topics like this. But also the right team for our panel that we discussed, AI in business, from hype to game changer. And I think that sums up really good the past years. And the past years, it was first a buzzword, then it came ChatGPT with a real hype, and now it's transforming businesses. And I think we bring up a group with very different perspectives, and your view of this topic would be interesting. And I think we will start setting the scene by asking you, every one of you, what is your perspective on the topic AI is a game changer?
All right. So thank you for the question. Happy to start. Just a quick addition to the previous question. So what I do at Google is I run the go-to-market for the Apigee team. Means we are the ones who connect AI to systems, to secure it, to scale it. And the question, is it a game changer or is it just an incremental step or maybe it's even a hype? It's like really a $1 trillion question right now. So if you see the investments of big tech, if you see the share price of NVIDIA, there's a lot of money flowing into that right now. And the big question is it really worth it? I generally think it is for 3 reasons. So the first one is if you see adoption of that technology, that ChatGPT moment, which was 2.5 years ago, the adoption of ChatGPT reaching 100 million users was 2 months. So that was the quickest ever. And usually quick user adoption shows there's value, it's usable, and it's a good indication of future success. So that's the first. The second is that whole thing is built on decades of research, of universities, of companies, IBM, Google, Microsoft, everybody invested there a lot. And that having a generative pre-trained transformer, this is what GPT stands for, is an incremental technology step, but makes all the difference. But it's built on a very, very solid foundation by many companies. And the last one is areas of application. So it feels very human. It's an interface to knowledge. You can talk to it. You can show it videos. It can show videos back. It's really, really usable. And so the areas of application are almost limitless. And that will also drive application around. Of course, there will be setbacks. But overall, I think it will be a big game changer.
So give me a second. That was a lot of input. But I think that was the perfect start for that's a real game changer. So this discussion, this panel is really worth it to stay here. And we will dive later into the real value and how to create this value. But now, in 1 sentence from your perspective, the other 3, What does AI as a game changer mean to you? Because it's often called a game changer. And we already heard here, it's not just a digital transformation, what Temath said to us, it's really a game changer. Because incremental step into digital transformation doesn't have this investment, doesn't have this change in the models and stuff like that, in the business models. But now, game changer from your perspective, in one sentence.
For me, it's a game changer because when I think in the direction of a human, humans have something which is unique, and this is intelligence. And now we come to intelligence which is on a silicon basis. And so we are not anymore unique on this planet or in the universe, and this is, for me, the biggest game changer we will see as humans.
Yeah, for me it's a game changer because I think it truly is AI or die. So for every company who's not gonna invest or apply AI will be out of business, let's say in 5 years, in 10 years, whatever. Don't call me on the numbers, but the question is, will you be able to be efficient in your processes? That's one key question that usually AI is asked for. But for me, more importantly, are you able to be innovative and build products and business processes that are actually driving customer value? And I repeat, AI or die, if you don't invest now, you will be out of business.
I think I like the parallels a lot of economists draw between this approach of general purpose technologies, like saying, hey, we had electricity in the past, we had computers in the past, we had the internet in the past, and now we have AI in nowadays, and everybody's using it, and it's augmenting our daily life. It's very immersed into our day-to-day tasks, in our day-to-day workflows. And if I would ask here into this round, who has never used ChatGPT or some form of an AI chatbot, there would not be one hand going up because everybody is using it. And it is augmenting the day-to-day life of everybody here. It makes a difference. And it is different than, for example, blockchain technology, because blockchain technology is just for a certain group of people. It's not that broad yet in society, probably never will be, right? And I think that's the massive difference here, that it is a technology which is on a level like electricity, like the internet, like the World Wide Web. It is the new infrastructure, everybody is using it, right?
Maybe let's stay here. When we think about AI, you just said it's everywhere. It will transform really, and it will transform the business models. When we look now in the reality, a little reality check, we're seeing a lot of people that experimenting with AI and have some pilots maybe in case. But what does it take to be not just one person who is doing pilots, but a real innovator in this area of AI? Question to you, Andreas, because you said it so well.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of discussion about this topic at the moment, right? Last week or 2 weeks ago, there was this infamous MIT study which said that 95% of Gen AI projects are failing. I see it more positive, and also if I look at the numbers we are having within IBM, I see a much higher success rate. And I think it is with every new technology which is getting to set up that you need some time, because with AI and AI transformations, it's not like a cloud transformation or like a CRM transformation or ERP transformation where you bring in a new tool which is deterministic. You train people, they press 4 buttons and everybody gets the same result. It is a very different way. It's a different way of working, because it is like kind of a every time you put something into a chatbot, every time you work with a large language model, you get different outputs, even if you put in the same questions. And it is also a different way of thinking, a different way of approaching problems when you work with this large language model. So I think it just needs time. And I work with very large scale companies, and they are very slow when it comes to, it's quite bureaucratic when it comes to adapting new technology. And I think overall, we are on a very good way. I see a lot of success already in the market, and of course this MIT study is measuring 6 months, right? But 6 months are nothing when it comes to transforming a company with 100,000 employees, right? And to answer your question at the end, so for what are the success factors? I think the success factors are, what I see works very well is if you have a bottom-up and a top-down approach. What do I mean by this? Very often AI is considered as an IT topic and you just give it to some guy who works in security or who works in IT but is not a person who's 100% focused on AI. So he's doing this on the side. Therefore, I really like what the Deutsche Bahn is doing with putting in a chief AI officer in place, because this is something where you see that the company puts this at the top agenda, right? You have a dedicated person with 18 reports working directly on AI. So this is the top down, okay? To make it like something like you have a C-level buy-in, it is clear this is a strategic mandate for the company to be competitive, because otherwise you will be out of business. And the bottom-up approach is also you need to train the employees, right? But it is not possible to do a one-fit-all training. I see this in a lot of companies where you have then 1 hour, you click through and then everybody is enabled, right? What you normally need to do, you look into certain departments, you need to understand what are the potential use cases. You want to have some power users, some power users who will bring this then later into the departments and move this forward on their own. So, and if you bring in like this top-down, this bottom-up approach, I think that is something which can really be successful then.
Okay, that was a lot of topics. I think I will catch up with the last thing that you said. Deutsche Bahn set up a new organization and has a head of AI. And congratulations to you all. We have Michael here on board. Michael, what roles do you think are critical to make the AI adoption really successful in business?
I think typically we need some techies, so we need data scientists, ML ops engineers, and so on. So this is the foundation to start with AI. But AI is also people business, and you have to transform people to increase the adoption. So, in my opinion, it's very clear that we need somehow transformation roles. This is key to bring the technology into the core businesses or the core processes of a big corporate. So the transformation role is really important. And I think some companies are starting to put these transformation roles at the C-level. T-Systems, Otto Group has built up these kind of roles, and I think this is key.
So the foundation and then the transforming roles. So really new roles are needed and not the existing roles that can be used. Yes. Okay, let's stay here for a moment before we switch up into the technology. We will stay at the culture. Andreas, in a short way, how important do you think, because I want to close this puzzle piece, how important do you think is culture really for a successful AI adoption? And when we think about people are not embracing the technology, do you think it could be successful?
Culture eats strategy for breakfast. No, I think that it is the key, of course. There is a very famous BCG paper, which, I mean, it's quite old. I think they coined this before we had AI, but it is basically saying something about 70% success factor of an AI transformation is people and bringing the right people on board. 2 days ago, Walt Disney created a VP position, AI and collaboration, a person on VP level, which is just looking and collaborating with the people to empower them. And I think this is the way forward. We will see this happening now in the near future everywhere. I'm pretty sure we will have much more people who are looking into the culture, into the collaboration part within companies, because it is a new way of working and you need to infuse it. And it's not done with one single training. It is something where you need to repeat. And I think it is key to success. It's one of the key success factors.
Okay, very good. So that was interesting because you said culture eats strategy. That's a bold and a cool statement. Let's stay here and say, okay, the culture is cool. We have a long AI journey before us. Christian, what do you think are the biggest misconceptions businesses have when they start the AI journey?
Yeah, I personally believe we were talked about transformation, so that it's really a transformation journey, and that AI is actually a team sport. So if you don't get your people involved and your stakeholders involved, you will not be successful. I think another misconception is, oh, we have these cool Gen AI tools, they basically know everything, etc., so that people do not focus enough on fundamentals. And one of the key fundamentals for me is asking yourself the question, what is driving value? And for driving value, the question usually is, what kind of data, what kind of solutions do I need to make this happen? And starting from that problem, getting also the fundamentals, also the hard work of getting data cleaned, etc., and accessible, making this ready, I think that is a misconception, because if you don't do this and if you don't start this, yeah, it will just not be there. And then you get the 90 or 95%. I think there's the missing piece of focusing on value creation, but also on what kind of fundamentals you need to lay. So I think that's one of the misconceptions I see.
Okay, very good. We will catch up this and head over to Thomas. Because Thomas, when we look in the world, we see America who are very aggressive and just start, and then we see maybe the Europe market who is going in little steps because they want a solid foundation, like Christian just told us. What do you think? What is more important? Just to start, or first to make a solid foundation to scale it?
Yeah, that's a good one, and that's actually like a dilemma where you need to move between the poles. There's like no straight one. So I love what Christian said with the AI or die, and I think that's true in the end. But if you like start too hastily, you have huge security risks, because you can also like errors and failures scale epically if you just like if you have an agentic system connected to your system and you don't have proper controls, you just can like blow up pretty much your systems at least, and maybe even more. So you need to be a little careful about it, and you need to have a strategic and balanced approach. And basically, the one thing is there are solved problems around it, like scaling AI, securing AI, there are solutions for that, so you can just reuse what's already there. You need to get your homework done around data, because if the data is crap and you ask AI questions, you get crap answers. That's the thing. Maybe you're well prepared in some areas, not so much in others. And the last thing is really around governance, like simple things, what do you put in the system prompt, but other things, how I like to work with that. And then probably there are projects which are easily to start, like a chatbot, for instance. If the product data gets out in the wild, it's not a big problem. You can play around with it and can get started, and then more and more projects. So start fast, but be conscious with which projects you start. Maybe not like automating SAP balance sheet creation in the end of the year with an agent like as the first project, but with a different one.
Very good. So I'm looking at the audience, and when there are questions, just give me a little sign. We will have later a little time for Q&A. But now let's stay here. Andreas, now we heard, okay, we can do a solid foundation, but we have to start. It's a long journey. We heard a lot of things. Now we have a lot of AI in businesses, but how to measure how successful it is?
Yeah, so, and I think just to add one thing to Thomas before I answer the question, and I keep it short, because I think Thomas said something very important as well, what we did not talk yet about, it is data.
Yes.
Because if you go at university, the first session you have on computer science, you will learn shit in, shit out. And it is the same with AI models, right? If you have a very bad data governance, if you have data siloed, and the data is not accessible for AI systems, you can have the best AI systems, the best algorithms, you will feed in shit and you will get shit out, right? And this is one of the main problems as well, why a lot of projects fail, because you need to make your homework, it's like building a house, right? You need to start with a foundation. And this was very often over the past neglected by a lot of companies because they did not take this data topic serious. It's a little bit like AI. It was done by IT, it was done by the security guy, it was done by a random person, but it was not the top mandate. So I think one of the top reasons is also one of the key success factors is also data. Before you have an AI strategy, you need to have a data strategy and your data in place. And to answer your question, I think for the success, it is about the success factors. What are the success?
Yes, and how to measure it.
How to measure it.
Success when we have AI now in place.
Yeah, I think it is like in every technology project, right? You need to start to baseline at some point. You need to measure from day one. You need to have some KPIs. And I'm a friend of like, and this is also a little bit our IBM philosophy, is about starting small and picking small use cases. And it's also what Thomas said to some degree, not trying to solve all of the world's problems. It is about what are the low-hanging fruits, what are the quick wins we can achieve with AI, and then scale from that up, right? And I think that is that is a proven approach which works well for Google, which works well for IBM, and I think this is also one of the things I would recommend here.
And to start with something that really works brings us to beyond the hype, what's next? When we think about Gen AI that has captured the spotlight in the past years. Michael, we can start with some use cases and have some success, but what do you think? Which concrete application really will last?
I think we are going into somehow into a direction where we all have or will have some co-pilots, which is a 24/7 assistant for myself, independent whether I'm working, whether I'm at home with my family, I'm going on to vacation. I want to have an application, an augmentation of myself, and I think this will last then.
Yeah, very good. Let's go to the technology perspective. Thomas. There are a lot of emerging AI technologies. When we think about the next 3 to 5 years, what do you think will really reshape the industry?
Yeah, good one. I mean, Gen AI is already there. It evolved quite a bit and appears to be that it's starting to be a bit of a commodity. If you think back of DeepSeek and all those things, there are a lot of models around, and usually the ones which just came out are the leading models. So that's already there. Multimodality means the ability to understand videos, to have vision, to see something that's evolving and even more there. So picture creation is a big thing nowadays for all the consumers, but we're also seeing more and more use cases where that's coming into play. The big shift, and that's going to be a really, really interesting one, is when we really think about autonomous AI. Because what we right now have something which is, you can talk to, it gives something back, but to make an AI do something, you need to do copy-paste. You talk to GPT, how should I respond to the email? You copy-paste. You create a plan, you copy-paste. You do that all the time. But what if you connect it to your backend system and the thing does something? What if an AI runs in a DAO the treasury around it? So there are a lot of what ifs, and when you have that into place, you have whole new business models, you have a complete different degree of cost optimization, and there's a lot. So that piece is going to be a tricky one, but that's the one who will change it.
So like you said, agentic AI is the first step in one AI emerging technology that really reshape, because it can do things and it's not just text in, text out.
Exactly, yeah.
So I will look at the audience. Are there any questions to our panelists? Okay, 2 questions. Or maybe, so I can, oh, he's already motivated.
Hello, my name is Marco. You spoke about the future a little bit, about AI in business, and for me it's like AI is like at the moment like a little child, but a child also grow up and will be an adult in the future. You speak about the next 5 years, but do you think we can imagine how will be our future in 10, 15, 20 years with the development of AI? Because this is what we can do at the moment. I think is just a little part of the possibilities we have in 15, 20 years, and it's also, yeah, it's very interesting. Where are we as humans in the future?
It's futuristic, yes,
yeah.
And it's a good question for a field that is like a moving target. So you cannot really have a static, strategic. But I would say is someone here who want to answer to this question?
I think it's impossible to look beyond 5 years in the future in the context of AI, And to cite a colleague from Google, Demis Hassabis, he's the head of AI of Google, and he's a Nobel Prize winner. He said, there's a 50% chance that we have general intelligence in 5 years, but he's not sure. And he knows how fast AI is evolving, and he is, with his team, doing more than just Gen AI chatbot things. So that's why I think this is the best answer to this kind of questions. We don't know, and we will see what happens in 5 years, and it will be interesting to see what happens in the next 5 years.
Maybe to add one thing, so AI is something which goes back 70 years. Actually, it's now the birthday, 31st of August, Dartmouth College in the United States, where the term was coined for the first time. And you had over the last 70 years several hype cycles and AI winters, where the topic was highly relevant and everybody was super bullish, and then a lot of investment was happening. And then later on, this was like going down to some degree. And what we see at the moment is, of course, Gen AI and GPT 3.5. It is something new, and everybody is now having the power of AI on their fingertips. Even my grandmother, you don't need to be a data scientist or AI engineer. So it is changing, but what I want to say, it is a technology which has already developed over the last few years, right? And I think this development will just continue. And for example, I think there is also a lot of positive stuff coming when you look, for example, into autonomous driving. Everybody here in this room probably has friends who had an accident with a car, or even family members who died, right? So, and also for truck discovery and so on. So I think there is a positive element, and I see in the future there will be a lot of positive stuff coming up. When it comes to specifically, and I think your question goes also more in a direction about Gen AI and those large language models and this overall super intelligence we are creating, nobody can say where this will go, right? I think it is completely open. And I think that it will be really dependent on a very specific group of people, because if you look what is happening now in the US with the super intelligence team from Meta, where they buy in researchers for $1 billion, there are only 1,000 people, maybe less, on this planet who have the capacity, cognitive capacity to create those models. And what is happening now, they are just switching between the companies, first from Gemini to Meta to OpenAI. They are building a model and then they switch to the next company, right? So I think it will be really dependent on what is coming out of this highly talented group of people, and which company is able to gather them to create maybe something even more powerful than what we have even nowadays with the large language models.
And just a very, very quick addition. I think it's going to be what we make out of it, because humans, we tend to see patterns and everything, but in the end, also a Gen AI model, it's you provide an input, you get an output, and in between there is some statistical transformation happening. And we can also prompt that to do certain things. So there's still a lot of control. It's just getting way easier. There are many fields of applications, and we don't know, so I agree 100% to that, but we can also control it. So I think we will just augment our capabilities with a new technology, and that will be the positive side about it.
There's also another question. We'll take that. It was a very good question to look into the future. Maybe we'll stay futuristic with the next question.
So my question would be regarding to Andreas, who said now everybody is using AI, but in the future maybe not everybody is using crypto or blockchain technology. My question would be, if you think about an agent, and an agent would be your personal assistant, he would buy for you things. How would you think he would do it? I would think it would be more than normal or whatever that this will happen on blockchain. And also, if you look like Visa or big companies, they are already using blockchain technologies. So I think in the future would be my approach. Everybody will be using blockchain, but they don't know it. Like, they don't care like if you're now using chatbot A or B or whatever, or how is it programmed. So what would be your approach regarding to that?
So I think from an infrastructure perspective, I was also observing this, that MasterCard, Visa, and PayPal, I think those three, they have created this agentic payment features. I think it is already now in Perplexity that you basically can directly buy via a PayPal agent in Perplexity if you find something you like with 2 clicks. I think this is very interesting. But I still consider it, at the moment at least, as some niche topic, right? Because, for example, my parents, which are a little bit older, a little bit more conservative, they would never use this. So I think it is about something where our young generation is quite affine and positive towards some features like this. But I don't see that there will be a mass adoption of this over the next 2 to 5 years. I think there are other low-hanging fruits when it comes to AI, agentic AI, especially like, for example, coding agents, something like Lovable, Vault, and so on, where people build new applications, because this is something which feels more natural for people. But I don't disagree that from an infrastructure perspective in the future, we will maybe have even more blockchain technology infused into certain systems, providing trust for transactions.
Okay, that was also now the blockchain topic in our panel, but a very good question. I don't see any other questions. Okay, there are 2. I don't know if we can take them based on the time, but we'll try it. We'll try it.
Yeah, if you try to answer quickly, we can do that.
Yeah, we will try it to do both.
Hi, thank you. My question is following up on Andreas' point, but everyone feel free to answer. So you said that for measuring success, you need certain KPIs, and where I'm from PwC, also change management for AI adoption. We're always trying to define when is an employee really enabled. Is it when he uses AI once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day? Is there any benchmark that you're referring to, or are there any other KPIs apart from user adoption rate that you're looking at when you define success?
So I think it always is very much tied to what are the business goals and business objectives. So, for example, if we are talking now about a very broad adoption, so you have a company of 80,000 employees, you want to bring in some kind of AI chatbot, some secure ChatGPT with some basic automation and so on, you can build up like dashboards where you track the adoption, and then you can see like, hey, how many people, how many % do use the chatbot on a day-to-day basis, right? So I think that is the most common one, to do it that way. Other ways is, as I said before, about measuring certain use cases and saying, for example, hey, so we have this, taking an example now, we have this, a lot of companies, they work on RFPs, so they get a new RFP from from the public sector or from other companies where they are asked, hey, can you help us with the following services? And this is something which in the past normally took a lot of time to go through, to understand the details, and then to draft and create an answer, because of course you need to first of all understand the RFP and then make some calculations based on this. But this is something where AI can help you a lot, right? So for example, we have built within IBM this kind of assistants which help us with answering RFPs quite fast. And you could measure then, for example, saying, hey, normally this is something where people would have spent maybe 2 weeks in answering this, and nowadays it's maybe 1 or 2 days. So it is then very measuring for very specific use cases. But as I said, I think it really depends on your business goals and your business targets. And I think that dashboard is one, and the second one might be the productivity approach.
Yeah. But one thing I have to add, sometimes we have to be honest to ourselves in the business and said sometimes there are no benchmarks they have to develop. So in this field of AI, there can be some files where benchmarks are still not set, so the companies can set. Let's close the panel. Totally sorry to the person that has also a question, but the panelists are also here after the panel. Thomas, I will close with you, because you are directly beside me. What excites you the most when you think about the future of AI?
So the first thing is about, just a quick one about the RFP generation. What if, RFP answers are AI and RFP generation is AI. Something to think about. That's one thing. And the other one, scientific breakthroughs, specifically in medicine. I think that's going to be a big thing in the next years.
Totally agree. So, based on the time, we don't have a lot of... based on the time, we are over the time, so we have to close this panel. But thank you for your questions, and thank you for being here, and thank you for the wonderful panelists and this cool panel. Thank you.